Here's a segment from a recent Gun Talk radio episode. You can listen to all the Gun Talk radio podcasts however you tune in, or check out guntalk.com for more. One of the guys who spent an awful lot of his life keeping the peace joins us right now, a good friend of ours, Sheriff Jim Wilson out of the great state of Texas. Jim, how are you, sir?
Oh, I'm doing great. Happy Independence Day to you folks.
Well, thank you, sir. And same right back to you. You've been in law enforcement an awful long time, as well as being one of the storied and now veteran gun writers out there. You've written about guns for I don't know. Do you remember when you first started writing about guns?
Yeah, I did. It's been right at 30 years.
Holy cow. I knew it'd been a while. So one of the things I want to talk to you about is in this plastic, fantastic 9mm world that we have today. And it's funny, you'll love this. I was talking to Rob Latham recently. He said, I actually get people in my classes now who have never shot a steel gun. They've never shot all they've ever shot is a plastic pistol. Isn't that something?
That's true. Yeah. It's kind of amazing for us old guys.
Well, as I've been carrying a 1911 for the last couple of weeks, just because I like to switch it up now and then, I'm thinking, I really do like this gun.
You bet.
But people don't understand today that revolvers still have a place in all this, don't they?
Oh, they do, very definitely, especially for the armed citizen. Double-action revolvers are still around just because they work. I mean, they've worked for over 100 years.
So, and I know that you are a master of double-action revolvers as well as single-action revolvers, and of course, pretty much any kind of semi-auto. And when would be a time for you to say, okay, today I'm going to carry a revolver either as primary or as a backup? And how does that process work when you get to that?
Well, I think it depends on the individual. And I think you're talking about the plastic guns. I think we're really blessed today with so many choices. Mm-hmm. And what, like you and I may apply ourselves and we can make just about anything work, but something might appeal to you and you might shoot it just a little better than this other one over here. And I think that's, revolvers fit in the overall picture. They may not be for everyone, but I just don't think the armed citizen ought to overlook them. I really like them. And although I carried a 1911 when I was working in law enforcement, I started out with revolvers, and today that's pretty much all I carry is a revolver.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Well, why is that? Well,
they're about, number one, they're about as reliable as any firearm we can make. Mm-hmm. And notice I didn't say they're more reliable. They're just a very reliable piece of ordnance.
Okay.
And I shoot it well. And that's what I would suggest to the armed citizen. Try them. You'll find something that you shoot well, and it could very well be a double-action revolver.
All right, so give me an idea. I mean, we're kind of brand agnostic around here, so it doesn't really matter which one you carry. And what are you carrying? What caliber? What barrel length? All the rest of that.
Yeah, I generally carry a made in about the 1970s, a Smith & Wesson 2.5-inch Model 19.
357.
357.
That's pretty sweet. I have a 686 3-inch barrel 7-shot that I really like. And I will tell you, I find it to be at least as comfortable and maybe even more comfortable to carry in an outside the waistband holster just with a cover garment as any semi-automatic that I carry.
Sure. Yeah, they are. Back when I was a police officer, we shot the 50-yard PPC course for qualifications.
Right.
And my first thought about the 2.5-inch barrel gun, Model 19, I thought, well, maybe that's asking too much. But I think, my scores may have dropped a couple of points from what I was shooting with a 4-inch. Mm-hmm. Little guns will just shoot. and that's, the Ruger's making some great revolvers. Colt's getting back in revolver business big time.
Yeah.
And, there's some real options out there. Here's the key to keep in mind. Okay. Revolvers are easy to shoot and they're easy to understand. They are difficult to shoot well. And the big reason is that long double action pull. You really have to do a lot of practice with it and learn to master that double action pull.
Yes, and what we're talking about, if you don't know, is that with modern double action revolvers, you can cock the hammer and then pull the trigger, but you don't want to be doing that in a self-defense situation because that trigger pull is in the 1 to 2 pound range, very light and very easy to stumble into it. Maybe it goes off when you don't want it to, versus the regular pull, we just pull the trigger, and it's a long pull, and the hammer comes back, and that can be 10 to 12 pounds ballpark. But if it's smooth, you can, in fact, learn to operate that and shoot very well with that long trigger pull and not cock the hammer.
That is exactly true. That's exactly right. One of the things I like to do with my guns, actually any of my personal defense guns, I want a good pistol smith to go over that gun, smooth the action up. I'm not a big one for weakening the springs, but I do think that the way the parts mesh together, a good pistol smith can smooth that up, and the perceived double action trigger pull is smoother, and that helps a lot. That and just practice with it, dry practice at home.
I was just going to say, dry fire practice is really beneficial with a double action revolver.
Absolutely, you are so correct. But
all right,
for all
Jim,
that, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, the one thing I was going to ask you before I have to hit this break here is, carrying a revolver, obviously you have fewer rounds, and a lot of people have no idea how you would reload a double-action revolver. There's several different ways. You might just talk about that for a second.
Yeah. I carry two different reloads, at least two different reloads with me. One is a speed loader, and that's for if I've shot the gun completely dry, so I can load all the chambers at once. And the other is either a speed strip or one of those little belt pouches. I prefer the belt pouch, so that if I've just shot a round or two, I can just top the cylinder off. And there again, though, just as practicing with that double action pull, a person needs to practice their reload. As much as much as you would if you were shooting an auto. Part
of that is getting some training, and you may have to go a ways to find somebody who can train you in the defensive use of a double action revolver. You got a lot of instructors who've never shot one, don't know how to teach it, certainly don't know how to teach you how to do a reload. But if you can find a good instructor, you'd be amazed how quickly you can reload and get back in the fight with one of those.
Absolutely. Tiger McKee down at Shoot Right Academy in Alabama is a good revolver man. Ed Head out at the Gun Sight Academy in Arizona is a good revolver man, retired Border Patrol. So they're out there. They're definitely out there.
Actually, occasionally, Gun Sight will have one of its 250 classes. It's a 5-day class, and it'll be a revolver-only 250 class. And you're going to come out of that thing running a revolver like a champ.
Exactly. In fact, I think they've got one scheduled within the next few weeks out there.
Okay. Very good. Well, Sheriff Jim Wilson, I appreciate it. Let people know how they can keep up with your writing. Where's your writing appearing these days?
I write for the NRA publications, for Shooting Illustrated, American Rifleman, and I also do their work on their online sites as well, and also NRA Family's website.
Very good. Thank you so much. I appreciate you taking a little bit of time out of your 4th of July.
Hey, listen, it's my pleasure, and it's good to talk to you folks.
All right, take care, Jim. We'll talk with you later.